Welcome to the Cross Border Interviews, the show where we sit down with municipal political leaders from across Canada. Now, our mission on this show is quite simple: shine a light on the dedicated individuals who day in and day out work around the council table to shape the communities that they call home. And for today's episode, we traveled to the most recent 120th Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association Convention in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And today is our final episode of that series where we sat down with 9 municipal leaders from across the province. And for our final episode of that series, we are honored to be joined by Torquay, Saskatchewan Mayor Terry Malaryk. Across Canada, our cities, towns, villages, and rural communities are alive with stories waiting to be told. Stories of innovation and economic development, resilience in the face of the housing challenges, and the financial hurdles municipalities overcome every day. At the Cross Border Network, we bring these stories to life. From coast to coast to coast, we're connecting Canadians to the issues shaping our communities and showcasing the people working tirelessly to make them thrive. With your support, we can expand our reach, amplify more voices, and shine a light on the challenges and triumphs of municipal life. For as little as $3.99 a month, you can help us grow and continue sharing the stories that matter most. Join us today and be part of this important mission. Together, we can tell more stories, build stronger communities, and make a real difference. Support the Cross Border Network now. Visit www.crossborderinterviews.ca today. Terry, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about your community of the great village of Torquay, Saskatchewan, and yourself. And I want to start right there.
Okay.
Let's talk about you and get to know the man behind the persona of mayor for a second. Where did your sense of duty to serve your community come from, Terry?
I think I've probably had that most of my life. I was the oldest of 6 boys in my family, so I've always had that leadership quality about me. My brothers all looked up to me as we were growing for that leadership. I got to give you a little bit more history on that too. I was born and raised in Estevan, but my mother's hometown was Torquay, and she moved from Torquay into Estevan in 1947 to finish high school and moved in with her older sister. So Torquay has always been kind of near and dear to my heart. I spent a lot of time out there when I was a child at my grandparents' farm and my uncle's farm just outside of town. So I have a lot of family history in the village of Torquay. The reason we picked Torquay was when we first moved out to Estevan, we wanted to get into a quiet place because I was almost an empty nester at the time, 4 daughters. And we were looking for something smaller and quieter and more quaint, and we just ended up, a property became available in Torquay, and out I went. I moved out there in 2005. In 2009, they had a civic election, and a guy that I worked with, our former mayor, and he was actually a SUMA director here for quite a while, Michael Strachan.
Anyone who knows the show knows that we love Mike on the show.
And he actually talked me into doing this with you. So I worked with Mike. We worked at the same place, and I was a supervisor out there with a large crew and a lot of responsibilities, and he was short a councillor. And so he conscripted me. He says, Terry, why don't you come and join council in 2009? And I says, yeah, okay, I'll give it a try for 1 term. And back then it was a 3-year term. And I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm currently into my 5th term now. They're 4-year terms now. The government here in Saskatchewan regulated that a few years back. So my first term as mayor just started with the civic elections last fall.
Did Mike make it look easier than it actually is?
He kind of did. He had a lot of experience, with the FCM and with the SUMA. Very knowledgeable man, and I've struggled a couple times with some of the early meetings that I've chaired. I do have some experience chairing boards because I am the chairman of the Main Prize Park Board, was just a little bit north of Torquay. But it's coming along.
You talk about this. This is probably one of the weirdest questions I get to ask here. So your mother lived in Torquay,
on a farm just outside of Torquay.
just on the outside. So I know this is probably one of the weirdest questions, and I apologize if it's insensitive.
I've heard lots of weird ones.
Oh, challenge accepted then. Did your mom ever see you as a political person? Did your mom ever look at you and say, you're going to be the mayor someday?
No, she didn't, but she actually knows I was on council. Unfortunately, I lost my mother in 2013. She didn't get to see me be mayor. But her oldest sister, who lives in Regina right now, has seen that. And we're holding our 100-year centennial this later in June, and I'm going to ask my aunt to come down here with her older daughter. She is 97 years old.
Send me the date for that, because I want to come celebrate with you guys.
It's, I believe, yeah, I'll send it to you, because I don't know it offhand.
Yeah. So you've had to make some tough choices throughout your time in office.
Yes.
What metrics do you put in place? How do you make those tough decisions? Because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to raise your hand or say yay or nay to a motion. How do you make those tough decisions knowing that people in your community may be impacted by those tough decisions?
Preparedness, research.
But research can only take you so far, can't it?
It can, but I'm a numbers guy.
Yep.
Okay, so if the numbers make sense, okay, I'm for it. If the numbers don't make sense, it's a very simple, easy, quick decision.
And do the residents of Torquay understand that?
I would hope they do. I haven't heard very many negative comments about myself from our residents. I've got a lot of support from the middle-aged to the older generation. Like, I'll be 70 later this year, so I do have a lot of experience, life skills, and people trust me. I'm a trustable guy. My parents instilled in me at a very early age, honesty is always the best way to go. So be honest and open.
While you have to be honest and open, which is understandable, and I admire you about that, people are ingrained in the way they think, though, in 2025. So how do you be honest with people but still hear them out?
Understanding. Like, in my career prior to my retirement in 2018, I received a lot of different training from the company that I worked for. They were a very good company to work for, and they provided me with all kinds of resources so I could get better at my job. And I've used a lot of that in my life, in my private life, in my political life, to understanding people. The speaker we had this morning, Pamela, is talking about sign language, like not sign that the deaf people use, but reading people's postures and stuff like that. That was not the first time I've heard that. I've gone through some of that training in the past. So you can read people, and then you can adjust your thinking, or not your thinking, but the way you communicate it to those people. So I related with a lot of what Pamela said. I could relate with a lot. I did not have a job like she had. There's no way I would have been able to do something like that.
So for those who are wondering what we're talking about, we are recording this live at the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association, and one of the, I believe, first keynote speakers was a retired undercover police officer, if I'm not mistaken. That is correct,
yes.
And she talked about reading people, so that's where the mayor is coming from in that statement for those who are going, what is he talking about? What speaker are you talking about? Because they may not see the big giant sign on the audio versions of the show. While it is important to communicate and talk to people and tell them why you chose that, do you get a sense people are engaged in Torquay? Do they want to talk about the issues that are important to them, or is there an apathetic nature that I have seen across Canada when it comes to municipalities?
In the younger generation, I find a lot of apathy, and people that are getting upper middle age, like in the mid 40s to late 40s, and that they have opinions, but they don't like to speak those opinions publicly. So they'll give me a phone call, or they'll stop me on the street, because like one of our big problems in the village of Torquay, we have 2 paved streets. The rest are all dirt streets. We have ditches by the in front of the homes to the road, and then we have drainage. Well, that's a huge issue in the spring, especially after like some of the snowfalls we've been getting in the spring or in the winter time, and you have a fast thaw. People's basements are flooding, and I have apathy, and I have empathy for that. So we did a public survey here a few years back, and they listed 7 things that are the priorities. The top 2 was drainage and roads, and surprisingly, the number 7 thing was the fire department. The lowest thing on the thing was the fire department. I couldn't believe that. But
shocking.
Yeah, it is shocking. And so we got that direction from the village, what the majority of the villagers want. So that's where I'm trying to get our council to focus more so on is, okay, let's address, like, we're on this council, we're administrating these people's money in the community that they live in. So let's do with the money what they want us to do with the money. Infrastructure, like like the water sewer lines. Like when I first went to Torquay as a child, I can remember visiting some relatives in Torquay and then going to an outhouse. They didn't have sewer. They had water, but they didn't have a running sewer. And then they put the sewer in.
How is the water project coming along in Torquay?
Oh, the water project is complete. We finished that about a year and a half ago. What we ended up doing was the regulations, the Water Security Agency in the province and across this country, and it's very understandable. They always changing the standards, for your turbidity levels, your arsenic, your cyanide, everything that can be in your water. We have a groundwater. We have 2 wells. So for all you listeners out there, I couldn't drink the water when I first moved out there because of the old green sands filtering system and different things. So we applied and received that ICIP grant to improve our water system. So we went into the design stages. We got a grant totaling $1.86 million. By the time we got to almost shovel ready there, because of the inflation that happened after the COVID years, the lowest bid was 2.3, so we had to do some cuts. We had to borrow some money. And people that are unfamiliar with the ICIP grant, you don't get the government of Saskatchewan, the government and federal government does not give you the full 1.86. You have to, the local municipalities have to supply 28% of the cost of that. So.
And 28% of that for a population of about 500?
Oh, God, half that.
250?
Yeah.
That's a pretty penny for their property tax.
Yeah, it is. And we had some residents that were not too happy because of we had to take a loan out. And but surprisingly, it was a very, very small amount of residents.
But if you didn't do it and fix the water, then
people were buying water in those 20-liter jugs, but now they can just fill their coolers right out of their taps.
Yeah.
It's a reverse osmosis system, and it's just the best water. We do have capabilities to supply bulk water to anybody that comes in with a tank, and that's been going up. We have a card lock system on that. You can pay with your debit card, your credit card. Just go in there, punch the key, and you can come at 3 o'clock in the morning and fill up your tank.
No, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll enter into Torquay as a whole, and I'm going to preface this by the line of questioning, before I start the line of questioning with this. This is a conversation between the mayor and myself, not a motion of council, not a direction of council, not a policy of council. He needs a majority of people on council to pass anything, so therefore, this is his opinion, because at the end of the day, again, needs a majority of people to vote for or against something to make council, administration, or policy pass. With that being said,
you are so darn right.
I usually get at least one email from somebody saying, "Why are you asking this person without?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Did you listen to the rant?"
Opinion. Maybe your listeners can tell from my voice, I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah.
And I get passionate.
Yeah. But not even that. It's, while you may be passionate about something, the majority of your council may go, this is not what we want, so let's vote against it. So again,
yep, that happens.
You are the speaker of the municipality, but when it comes to motions and directions, you have to take your cue from the majority.
Our last meeting, there was something I didn't agree with.
It went through, but you have to go out and sell it now.
Yep. one for all for one.
Amen to that, brother. So with that being said, as of recording this on the third week of April 2025, the first official day of the SUMA convention,
Yeah.
what do you see as the biggest challenge facing Torquay today?
That's a tough one. We've had this past winter was a little hard on us. We had to spend some unbudgeted money fixing some water breaks. And like I said, the infrastructure, roads, like a water sewer line. Right now, number one priority is our roads, getting our roads back in shape. So, like over the years, on our grid roads, dirt roads in the village, the graders come in there and they push dirt off to the side, and now we've kind of built dams on the edge of the road so that when it rains, it's not rolling into the ditch. It's staying on the road, making our roads sloppy and bumpy, and so that's the challenge we're going to be addressing here in the next couple of months.
Do you feel like you've got a good plan in place to be able to address it? Because
we believe we do. We just have to get a little bit more research done and some more costs associated with it before we'll make a motion at our council and then approve it.
So what's next then? Because that's a pretty big adventure that you have to undertake here. Do you see it being a long-term plug to fix the issue rather than a short-term patch?
Oh no, we believe it's going to be a short-term fix to get the roads back into the condition that they should be. And a lot of people that live out in the rural parts of the country understand that, because you need to put a crown on the road. You need to keep the edge of the road clear of those ridges so that when it does rain, the water runs off. And we think it's an easy fix. It's just coming up with the dollars and then finding a contractor to come in and do it. And then we do have some issues with the drainage, so before we even start that, we've got some culverts to change, and so we don't want to go and fix the roads and then dig them up and fix the culverts. So we believe that's an easy fix to get that issue addressed with.
So on the flip side of that question then is, what's the opportunity that Torquay has? What's the thing you look at and you say, we have our challenge, we have our long-term viability plan to be able to fix our roads, but we have this going for us. What's that X factor that makes Torquay Torquay?
Cooperation with our surrounding municipalities. We have a very vibrant community center that's used by the people in the rural municipality as well as the village, and the shortage of ice surfaces around the different areas of the province. Our ice rink is very busy with teams coming from Weyburn, Estevan. Weyburn's only 45 minutes away, Estevan's 25 minutes away, so that helps a lot with the profitability of our arena, be able to keep open. We're actually doing some more. You have to understand the community center is a separate entity from the village council. They have their own board.
Yep.
They have their own budget. Even though the village owns the buildings, we don't maintain them or govern them. We have a board. We do have representatives from the council on those boards, and they're doing some modifications. Our community center is our old school. It got shut down in the early 2000s, and the kids are either bused west to Onger or into Estevan for school. So we're in the process right now of modifying one of the classrooms. We moved our 50 and over club into the old school because they had some monetary issues dealing with the building that they were in. We've actually had a business running out of the community center at one time. They're in the process right now of modifying one of the old classrooms into a gym, which my wife and I will be donating some of our old gym equipment to. So yeah, we're just it's slow process, but it's coming along. We do get support from the local RM, which is much appreciated for the community center.
Which is who?
The RM of Cambria.
Cambria. I knew that. I just wanted to see if you did. I want to ask a sort of elevator pitch. Tell me why someone should come and see what Torquay has to offer. Why should someone come move to Torquay?
Well, if you're going to come in September and October, bring your shotguns because we have a ton of pheasant there.
Ooh, pheasant season.
Yeah. Mule deer, white-tailed deer, antelope, 25 minutes north, great fishing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's lots of activities to, around there. Sightseeing.
And you're so close to the American border, too.
9 miles, or whatever, 14 kilometers.
Yeah, whatever the border is today.
Yeah. So, and the most vibrant sunsets you'll ever see in your life.
There, it is true. I was there at the last summer, and it was beautiful. My final question. What makes it such a great place to live, work, and raise a family, the great village of Torquay?
It's so neighborly. Everybody helps each other. Like, I drive into Estevan shopping. I don't even lock my doors.
I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Even when I go back to my old hometown in Newcastle, in Ontario, I lock my doors, and I know it's probably one of the safer communities.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, we have I was just coming out of the sector meeting for villages, and I was listening to some other people saying how their villages are dying. Ours isn't dying. It's not growing, but it's not dying. A lot of the older people, like I'm 69, and when I say older people, I mean older than me.
Yeah.
Are moving into Estevan, Weyburn, and I understand that. They want to be closer to the hospitals and stuff, and their doctors and stuff, and maybe to their kids or grandchildren. I understand that, but I'm going to say that probably 3/4 of the new residents that we've had move into Torquay are young families with young children. We probably have enough kids in Torquay right now to reopen the school, but unfortunately the education system won't do that.
I'll ask that to Minister Schmalz tomorrow.
Yeah.
Schmalz, sorry, tomorrow.
Yeah, but we just, a new business just opened on our main street. A young
bakery?
A bakery, yeah, and convenience store.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a bustling little village.
I wouldn't say bustling, but it's summertime's my favorite time to be there because I'm an early riser in the summertime. I've got a huge yard. I actually have to have a riding mower to cut the grass. Otherwise, it takes me 5 hours with a push mower. But I love to garden, and I'll have my morning coffee out in my backyard patio and listen to the birds sing. And you hear a tractor or a truck way off in the distance. You don't hear that city hum.
As we just had an interruption of 10 minutes until the next session, that is my cue to say, Terry, Mayor, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure when I speak about Torquay on the show. It's always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Cross Border Interviews. Now, if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. We also want to take a moment and thank the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association for allowing us to come and attend this year's convention in Saskatoon, but also record these great interviews on the Cross Border Interviews. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us on social media. And if you want to learn more about the communities and the people we feature on this show and our sister shows, visit us online at crossborderinterviews.ca. Your support means the world to us. So share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll be back with a brand new episode of Cross Border Interviews soon. Till then.